I think the reason that conservative men like J.D. Vance freak out at the notion of women rejecting motherhood is because they can't accept the idea that their own mothers could potentially not want them.
Yes. This is why anytime we have this conversation, men just can't wrap their brains around the idea of the fact that our freedoms, our economic independence is so recent in human history that you really can't have a full understanding of any decisions women made considering marriage and family and pregnancy and motherhood and all those things before about 1980. Because we were only guaranteed the rights to our own bank accounts and our own credit in the mid to late 70s. And when you talk to men, particularly I see black men say this often, what happened to our women like our grandmothers? What happened to, the women who, held down their man and built something together with him? It's a disturbing thought, particularly for a man who has a lot of his ego and, life story, the tapes that they play in their head, really invested in legacy. It is very uncomfortable when you realize or are forced to realize that had she had a choice, your grandma, your great grandma, your own mother never would have had you, never would have married your grandpa, your great grandpa, or your dad, would have led a completely different life, and you never would have been a single thought, a single speck. Your presence on this earth would be nil. You would not exist. And for men, considering how much their ego is invested in legacy when it comes to children and family, that is a deeply unsettling thought for them. Personally, that doesn't disturb me at all. The fact that had my mother had more freedoms than she did, she might have made different choices and she might not have had me. That's entirely possible. Of course, she will never admit that because my mother is a nice Midwestern lady who doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But that doesn't mean it might not be true. But yeah, gentlemen, it's entirely possible that had she had other options, your mother might not have had you. And definitely I can guarantee that if we're talking about black women in the South, your grandma, great grandma, big mama, mama them would not have gone within a country mile of your grandfather or great grandfather if she had the choice. Because a lot of those women didn't have choices. A lot of those women were sexually assaulted by grown men when they were in their teens and were shamed and forced to marry those guys because of that. And we're just popping out children, every year. 12, 13, 20 kids. I know someone whose grandmother had 20 kids. That's nuts. Because then you'd also have to confront the fact that we never really liked you. We never really loved most of you. And that most women, if they had other options, would have made a different choice. That you were never the prize. That the world lied to you, telling you you were. And this hits especially hard by the fact that by 2030, we are projecting that, 45% of women will be single and childless. Because we can be now. And close to half of us are looking at the marriage and motherhood thing and saying, nah, thanks. I think I'll just be a cat lady. That's good for me. Because in a lot of cases, it's a lie. Your family looks the way it does now because a woman or a series of women, generation by generation, had no other options. Your family would have been different. Your family is based on a lie. The lie that women are less than men and that women should live their lives in service of men. And generation after generation after generation of women were forced to do that up until very, very recently. They know it's true. That's why they're pressed. Sit with that.